All right, so that's while that's loading, we should be good to go. So a couple housekeeping issues. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to put your VCS number at the beginning of your name in the participant list. If you don't know already, that's how we're keeping track of the raffle prizes. If your number's not there, well, you can't win. Uh, okay, so this session is with Ron Howard from the Extreme Sequences. We're doing some intensity with high density. Ron, hopefully you kept your presentation to less than an hour. We're going to need about 10-ish minutes at the end. So I'll try to give you like a 10-minute heads up, maybe a halfway, just see if you're keep making sure you're on track still. And with that, we take it away, Ron. Give you as much time as possible.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lawton. I appreciate it. Quick shout out to everybody involved in the 2020 Virtual Christmas Summit organization, all the vendors, sponsors, everybody that put this together. This is not an easy endeavor to pull off. And so far, all day today, I've been bouncing from rooms, and it seems to be just fantastic. I haven't seen any hiccups, or maybe I'm just not reading them, but it seems to be going really well. I'm very humbled, and I feel very blessed to be a part of the sponsorship and being able to impart some knowledge. My name is Ron Howard. I am the owner of Extreme Sequences. Back in 2015, I started with Lightorama. I certainly never have regretted that because it led me somehow along that path to Pixels and X-Lights and all these amazing people in this community. And I've learned a lot from some amazing people. And I've just spent enough time with my butt in the seat learning how to use X-Lights that I somehow turned a hobby into a side business, into a full-time business. And here we are. If you ever need to get in touch with me, there's my website, there's my info at my email address. And then I also have a Facebook group called Extreme Sequences Syndicate, where we get together and share ideas. And we don't have any rules in that group. There's a one unspoken rule, and I won't say that here, but you would find out very quickly when you join. Anywho, let's get into this. I am not a PowerPoint person. I've worked in the corporate sector enough of my life. I have just gone to sleep too often to PowerPoint. So we're going to get through some of these slides very quickly and then jump into X-Lights. How do props differentiate? Well, I look at dimensionality, density, and dynamics. And this strange thing happened over the last couple of years where props started increasing in density. And I got to be really good friends with the Gilberts, and I consider them family. And this collaboration between the two of us took off, and suddenly people really liked what you could do with these dense props. If you had brought up this conversation or even the idea of these dense props, 696 pixels in a 46-inch round prop 3 years ago, you would have been laughed out of this hobby, probably banned and blocked and all of it, right? Because it just didn't make sense. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. How many pixels are in your matrix? Oh man, I got 5,424. Oh, well, what's the difference then? The difference is this is just shapes, right? And so that's kind of where that took off. And speaking of shapes, I think the most interesting thing about high density props are the unique shapes, the uniformity, and then the submodels you can make from these shapes. I'm a huge fan of having quarters and sections that are equal to each other. As a sequencer, I think I fare better with those type of props. If you take a spinner and all the concentric circles on there are not concentric all the way to the bottom, that's probably going to freak me out a little bit because I'd rather it be uniform. Okay, and then we get into the ingredients for high density sequencing, and this gets into the multiple layers, the value curves, layer blending, render styles, images, all these things. There's so much to it. And I wish I could say in this next 30 to 40 minutes that I could turn you into raging lunatic sequencers. That's going to be really a tough thing to pull off. So I'll try to impart some knowledge that I have, some ideas and things I think about when doing this. All right. And the rest of that is, let's get, oh, we're not there. Let's get rid of that. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Let's pull up. Should we just watch a sequence? And then maybe we can tear it down, break it apart, something like that. I think that's fair. All right. Here's something. You might recognize the song, and I'll try. Now, keep in mind, the song that I did here was for a gentleman whose show will be on the Great Christmas Light Fight this year. And so I'm pretty proud of the sequence. It turned out really well. His layout is a lot bigger than mine. This is about 39,000 pixels I plan to try to pull off this year. We'll see how that goes. I have my premium cubes here. I've got this, what I call the spinarchy. And okay, there you go. You hold down your control key, it will not dock on you. I have my Rosa Wreath, Grand Illusions, Spin Reel Max. I have a bunch of Gilbert Engineering flakes. These are the XLS flakes up here. These are the 450s. Starburst. Starburst used to be considered a model with a lot of pixels. Not anymore. Not when you have 1,000 in your Grand Illusion. I have my Star-Lord over here. And some of these props, I've had the pleasure of naming them, which is funny. So if something sounds kind of kooky, it may be because I gave it some type of name. And there's no reason why I did or didn't. So I'm just going to start this from the beginning. Audio is set to quiet, not to blow your ears out. And then we'll talk about some of the effects, and then we'll just create some new things. Here we go.
It was Christmas, Christmas every day. We could just let it snow forever and live on holiday. There would be presents every morning under every tree. Oh, Santa Claus, if I could have my way. I wish it was Christmas every mistletoe, 52 weeks in a row. Now you got me shouting.
Stop. Don't touch me, please.
Comes every night. What a wonderful world this could be. I can see the Christmas lights appear. Welcome to the best time of the year. Yeah! I wish it was Christmas, Christmas every day. We could just let it snow forever and live on holiday. There would be presents every morning under every tree.
Okay, so a little bit of a hot mess on some of the effects because about 10 minutes before class started, I decided I wanted to quickly map this over to my 3D layout, which it's never been mapped to before. And so there are a few models that were missing out of it. So I just threw some stuff quickly onto my Grand Illusions. They didn't look bad. And unfortunately, I kind of, the left sticks are all sticks and the all sticks are the left sticks. So, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. We're not here for perfection. We're here to kind of talk about all these crazy effects. And I think really the key to this is the grouping of these submodels. If we go back to the layout and we look at something like the Grand Illusion, on the outside, it looks like a very simplistic basic prop. And if I were to go in there and really do the sequencing on this prop for here, it will look quite a bit different than what we had just seen in that. The submodels is really where this magic takes place. And in this particular model, be ready for this because there are a lot of submodels, a lot. And Eric Meyer has done some great work on this. I've added some of these in here painstakingly, but they all do unique things. Probably not a ton that you saw there because it was just a copied effect over to it. But the flower effects, all of these things give a sequencer a canvas to work upon that is just magical. And here's the good news. The good news is the recipients of a sequence like this, if they had the same models, they went out. The bad news is these sequences take longer or can take longer. This sequence here, I probably have over 115, 120 hours in it. There was just so much going on. The layout that I was working on had over 50,000 pixels, and there were a lot of other props in there. So it was a joy to work on the pixel forest, all these things. And how do you learn to sequence on this kind of stuff? It's one thing to have the mega tree. Everyone pretty much has a mega tree, and that used to be the focal point of your show. I mean, honestly, when people drive down your roadway and they see the mega tree, it was always top bill for the show. And that's sort of shifted now. It's the mega tree is not the lead singer it once used to be. And I feel a little sad about that in some ways, to be honest with you. I mean, you can't help but feel like you're cheating on it because it's such a beautiful prop to work with, and it's the tallest prop you probably have in your show, and it's probably where you spent the most amount of your time ever doing something with it. So yeah, you feel like you're cheating a little bit, cheating on a prop. What a weird thing to say, right? But these other things come into play, the P5, the P10 matrices, and suddenly they come into play. But they're a challenge too, because not everything helps convey the story. It's just like, oh, look, somebody threw up gymnastics of cool effects on there. What the hell does that have to do with the story? And it may not have anything. Somehow we got into this area of, well, just make it do cool crap and it's good enough. And I think that's why some sequences I've just put singing faces on there, or maybe I didn't put anything on there. Someone mentioned, how will this Imperial March look on my house? I don't have a matrix. My gosh, it'll look fantastic. This sequence would look fantastic without a matrix. So don't be afraid of not having a matrix. I mentioned that earlier. The icicles, the eaves, these typical props like these may not have submodels, or they could have divisions, and that's great. But when you get into the real meat of where these submodels make the most sense, is where we get into the high density ones. And a high density isn't just a 46, a 48-inch prop. If we look at, and this is why I love these, this is why I switched to these this year, is the high density flakes with the 24-inch footprint. It is just a cool thing because, nothing wrong with the 48 node flake. They still can look amazing. You just have to put submodels on them. But these flakes here are so versatile. They just look great for any whole house effects. They really fill up that area with a little extra density. Do I have any whole house on this? only the beginning. Oh no, I've broken a rule, haven't I? So I have whole house in one section of the song and the rest, no whole house. Okay. So some things, I want to give you a tip about your megastar. First off, we're going to kind of go up the list and go down. Please make sure you're using a native file. You'll know it's a native file if you can't click over here and see the file. Like if I clicked on this flake here, I can go to the model data and see all of that. If it's a native file, you can't do that. That's a native file. This is the native file. The star is a native file. If you don't have a native file and you're using a custom file for your star, you're going to miss out on some cool features in X-Lights. And what I mean by that is, let me find my topper. Let's go to this section right here. The reason the topper looks like this is because I have, let's go up here. I have a render style called layer star. On your Megastar, unless it's a custom model, which isn't 5, 6 points, 4 points, whatever, if it's something that's very unusual, then I get it. But if it's a regular star, I would make sure that in your render styles, you can see layer star. Because if you don't, the only choices you're going to get are default, per preview, single line. That's it. Or as pixel. I mean, that's it. Okay. Because that's not in a group. Okay. And of course, we have our mega tree. Lots of things going on there. Matrix, plenty going on there. Icicles, lots of layers, eaves, layers. I don't know if I have anything on here that doesn't have more than 1 or 2 layers. And we'll get down here to some of these fun props. Even my floods have multiple layers on them. This is what you call lazy sequencing right here. This is just taking these effects from somewhere else, copying on here, and it's like, oh, well, okay, I think I can live with that. I like it, and leave it on there. Heck, no worries. Yard outlines, flakes, here we get into the groups. Hopefully you've attended some of the earlier courses where we talked about the hierarchy of these groups. And speaking of that, maybe I should, I'm on my main sequence window, and how these work. So, and I'll probably just go to a new screen and we'll just put some stuff down. Let's do that. Discard. Give it a second here. It's unwinding. Thank you. We'll just go with 25 and my main sequence view, done. And there we go. So I want to show you an example with these flakes. So I have a, let's just do this. That'll work. And let's just put some random timings in here. Okay, so in this section here, we have flakes, right? Now, this is treating my entire group as if it is one model. And it's not so special. I mean, it could be a good effect, but it's not what I'm looking for. So this takes us to our layer settings. And this is the first area I'm going to look to when I am sequencing at the group level. And I'm going to put this on overlay center. Depending on the model type, depending on the effect, decides what these do. If it's a custom model, chances are I'll be just fine with overlay center. And I could give this another arm. So there we go. And I'm not sure what your screens are looking like, so I'm going to change the colors here and try to maybe make this just blatantly obvious. Okay. If I take, I'll come back to that. Well, no, I'm going to do it now. If I take this same effect and I put this on a group that is a native file, and we'll put this on Grand Illusion group. Well, why is that doing that? I'm not saying it's a bad effect. It's just not what I'm looking for. when you're working with native files in Xlights at the group level, you might want to try per model, per preview. And there we go. Okay. It works like that. Potentially, it could be the same thing with the submodels. If I put this back on overlay center, again, great for Halloween, not so much for Christmas. And back to per model per preview. So just remember, if it's a native file, or I'm sorry, native model, think per model per preview. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't experiment, because you should. You should look at horizontal stack. Oh, that's interesting. You should look at horizontal per model, vertical per model. And the best advice I can give when working with this to see what works is to start at the top, default. Okay, I see what that does. I see what that does. I see what single line does. I see what, just go down the list. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Let's get that out of the way. Let's go back up here. I want to get back to that point about the hierarchy of effects at the group level. We know that in the flakes group, it consists of all these flakes. So if I double click on that, just kind of opens the suitcase and I see all of my flakes. If I want flake A1 to do something different, then if I put an effect on that, then flake 1 is going to do, or that flake is going to do something different. Now, you can see something is bleeding through. You're still seeing it until it resolves, right? So let's just check our preferences or our sequence settings, and allow blending between models is on. I use this maybe 5% of the time in my sequences because I like to have complete control. And there are ways of using off effects to still do the same thing. I just don't like things bleeding onto things. So I'll click done. I'll render this. And then we're going to take a look at this again. I'll click on it. And now notice we have nothing bleeding through because we turn that option off. I typically will always make that a default off option, which you can do in the file preferences and go over here to the sequences and blending model default off. .28 came with everything sort of defaulting back to the old school way. And so you kind of have to do it manually. So maybe .29 fixed that, I'm hoping. So here's my flake A1. If I double click on flake A1, I have arms. So if I want something different to happen just on the arm 1, or let's just say circle, and we can make this a different color. Let's just make this a dark blue color. You'll notice now that we have the fan going on in the group. You see all of them doing the group. Then beneath that is we have this effect here. The galaxy is taking over. And then what's taking over further is the circle. So the galaxy won't do anything with the circle at all because there's no blending on and the circle rules. Or maybe we just put another effect like this on here. Put 2 of those, make it a little bit faster. And now we have this guy here moving around and around and around, right? And it probably wants to render. There we go. So that's why the hierarchy is so important, and why the hierarchy in your edit display elements is even more important when you're dealing with high density props. If you look at the Grand Illusion is at the top, followed by the flower, whirlywig, odd, even. If you have a sequence and you're mapping something over and we have the same models, it's going to be important that your hierarchy be in the same order, or the effects will not look just like the original sequence. Again, as I said earlier, maybe it looks better. Ring me up and say, man, I found a better order. I like this. But the reality is that order really should match. And I've tried to do that this year and stay consistent and not change any of my new sequences anyway, just to keep that order. If something looked better with a different order, I suck it up and say, I figure I'll have to figure out another way to do it. Okay. All right. So I get questions also all the time. If you have an effect that looks great on your mega tree, can I put that somewhere else? So let's just insert some layers here. And let's go to the magic vault. Let's go to the effects vault and find something. I don't know. Oh, this was something. I call something balls. Oh, my donkey cries. There we go. Apply preset. There's 4 of these. We'll talk about presets in a minute. Oh, I suppose I should click there somewhere. There we go. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get you over. All right. So here's an effect. Kind of interesting. And this looks cool on the mega tree. So what happens if I copy this and I apply this to, I don't know, let's find the Grand Illusion. Because it's just a fun prop. We'll see you later, alligator. And let's put this at the group. So I'll insert, I don't know, 3. That should be fine. And I'll paste this. Well, okay, that doesn't look good. But that's because it's trying to treat the whole thing like it's one prop, because this is default in my layer settings, or per preview, default. No. So what we want to do here is take all of these. We're going to try this. I'm going to right click, because bulk edit is your friend. Bulk edit on the render style and change this to, we could try overlay center, but I already told you about rules about a native file. So let's go with per model per preview. And let's take a look at it now. Oh, suddenly we have something kind of cool. I think, you know, we could spend, I'm not kidding you, we could spend 4 hours on these 4 effects right here playing. So I say let's spend 5 minutes or so. And I want to show you a great way. If you are somebody who's inspiring to be a sequencer, or you're just, it drives you nuts that you are a master of all things electronic and digital, and you struggle with the sequencing thing. You're just like, I just can't get out of what's in my head onto this canvas. I just want to scream, right? I totally get it. I totally get it. There's very few people that are somewhat technical and somewhat, you know, left and right brain combined, so they have that artistic ability to convey things like this. So I'm gonna give you some tips on how to break this down a little bit. And what I'll do is I will pull these out of the way. I'll click on 1, 2, 3, drag right, and look at the top one. That's all it's doing. It's just a pinwheel spinning with a little 3D on there. If I take 3D off, you get that. I like 3D. It looks good. Okay, fine. Well, let's do this. Let's look at the next one. What's this one? Wait a minute, hold on. That looks the same. That's a pinwheel. This is a pinwheel. They're just doing the opposite thing. So let's put them together. What the heck? I can put that in the sequence store and sell it for $5, right? He's like, whoa, that's all you did? Yeah. So all I did with this, I'm going to delete this. All I did was take this. That's pretty cool. Control C, copy it. Control V, paste it. It's doing the same thing. Well, that's not so bueno. One button will transform your life. It's called transformation. Flip horizontal. There you go. Now you can make all your own sequences. It's that easy, right? But wait, there's more. What's this guy here doing? Oh, God, man, that's a hot mess. That looks horrible. I don't like it. So let's change it. Let's try overlay center. Ooh. But wait, Ron, you said effects need to use per model per preview. Yes, but I did caveat that with depending on the type of model, right? Or depending on the effect type. Okay. And while I'm here, I noticed that in my preferences, my effects are set to extra large. Let's bring this down. There we go.
30 minutes are remaining.
Thank you, sexy moderator. All right. Thank you, sir. Yeah, so I didn't lie to you, but I did tell you it is dependent on the effect type. So when we get into something like a wave effect, now it's time to start playing. Okay, that's a default, what it would look like if it were on a matrix. Great. Single line doesn't really do anything different with per preview. Single line just turns it all on. No good. Horizontal, that's kind of cool. I don't like that split. No, 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 no. Vertical stacked, it's okay, but it's different on each side. I'm looking for balance. That's the way my brain works. That could be interesting. That's kind of cool. We'll come back to that. I want to do more with that, but I'm gonna put an overlay center just to get these doing kind of the same thing. It does something funky here. Maybe I'll have to talk to a developer at some point and figure out why that is, but it doesn't bother me enough. So I'll bring this into the fold. And now we have that effect in the background. So we have normal per model per preview, normal per model per preview. And then we bring this guy in here, which is overlay because it's using the wave effect. And then this poor guy's just been neglected. I mean, if we throw him in there, I mean, what's it going to do? I mean, it might be okay. I don't know, but let's do something interesting with it. Per model per preview, maybe. Overlay center. I kind of like that. I could deal with that. Why don't we check vertical? Okay, okay, horizontal. Let's go in the opposite direction. Okay, maybe there's too many palettes. There we go. Maybe 3D. There we go. And maybe it's a little fast. And I'm just making this up off the cuff, guys. So I don't have notes on what I'm doing here. I'm just doing. Okay, so there we go. And then I might take one effect out and look at it with this. Oh, see, now that's interesting. That's interesting. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it. If I love this, I'm going to take all of these. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to my effects presets. I'm going to go to my grand illusion. And I know everybody's curious, what is the balls effect? We'll see it. And I'm going to click new effect, and I'm just going to call this wow one, whatever. Yeah, there we go. And now I have it. So if I open this up here, we have wow one in there. This one should be in there. There we go. Wow one. Okay, so it's easy. It's easy as creating a group and then applying the presets to that group. So if I had lost this, right, I can go back up here, go to my wow one, apply preset, and I have them back. We're all good. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm liking that. But that's not where I stop. I could get into the theory of why I do things the way I do. Existentials has a video I did this last year called Sequencing from the Heart. So it's over an hour long, I think, and gets more into the principles that I use and things I think about when I'm sequencing. So I'll leave that out for here. But in this section, there's a lot more to do. And I know that you've seen some classes on value curves, so I won't get too heavily into that, but I will tell you value curves is one of the coolest things that you can employ. And I'll just do something off the cuff very quickly. I'll just employ, let's go with that one. Not liking it so much, not liking that one so much. Let's do something like, there we go. We'll do that. And then I'll do the same with this one with the twist. And I think it was that. If it's not, doesn't matter. So there we go. And so then you start getting all these different dimensions with things coming in and going out. And this is how you can create a basic effect into, or turn a basic effect into something that's really, really interesting. Do be mindful that if you have something that makes you dizzy as you watch it on the screen and you play it for a sustained amount of time, you could have somebody in the audience get dizzy or somebody that's driving. So do be mindful of that. I try to think of these things when I'm creating sequences, and if it's too blinky, flashy, and out of control, I'm afraid somebody could have a car accident watching it. I will back it down and change it, okay? If I don't like those settings, I'll go in here, right click, bulk edit, and I will just turn that off, and now they're gone, okay? Now we're back to where we were. None, flip horizontal, okay. All right, let me hit my render real fast, see if it changed anything. We'll just go with it. I think the twist got messed up. So I'm gonna put this on 61. I'm gonna put this one on 61, just so I can get those twists back in there. All right, good enough. Or if I wanna do both at the same time, let's just take these to 75. a little more exaggerated. Now they're both changed. Oh, that looks much better. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun with this. Maybe we could do something different with the colors. So if I right click here and let's just go find, yeah, that'll work. Let's do that. And I'm going to click on the second one. Oh, let me do this again. There we go. Okay, update. Now I have changed this to a pattern of colors that are gradients that will change over the period of the sequencing, which is great to bring the different colors in. Another great thing about this is if you have a timing track, you can see here, this looks at the timing track I have in here. You could also have these change right on the beat of that timing track if you want it to be more of a staccato look, something that's really kind of hard hitting, okay? Beautiful, so I'm liking that so far. So this is where the next exploration comes in, and this is where it's really, really fun, and that is messing with the layer blending. So we've kind of looked at the value curves a little bit, working with bulk edit to speed up some of this processes, killing two birds with one stone. We haven't even got over to RotoZoom. That's a whole different class, but there's a lot of fun in RotoZoom, and combining in RotoZoom all of the value curves. Oh man, it's just so fun. But let's explore layer blending. And I'm going to come down the list here. What's effect one? That's the top layer. That's that layer. That's effect one. What's effect two? It's the one below it. And everything else behind it, right? So on the top layer, we're going to go down this list and we're going to do one is mask. It's like, oh, okay, that's different. That's kind of cool. As I sometimes say, not a dog turd. That's good. Maybe I'll save that. I could use that for something. And then I'll come down and I'll go two is okay. That just reverses that. The mask is on the other side. One is unmasked. Oh, that's looking a little more candy cane-ish. I mean, honestly, I mean, if I pull this out with those colors and I have just this, that's kind of cool. Or I take this one out and I look at it. It's like, oh, it suddenly looks very British, doesn't it? Oh, but I think there was some yellow in there. So yeah, it changed a little bit, right? Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go down the list. Two is unmask. Oh, see, now I like that. You know what I call that? If I didn't have the other colors, I think I would call that Candyland Sprinkle. That's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take this. I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to go to effects presets. I'm going to click on my grand illusion, new preset. I'm going to call this Candyland Sprinkles. Don't ask me about my naming. Why? It just, whatever pops in my head, that's what happens. Same thing happens when I just kind of talk and not think about what I'm going to say, which is always a joy for some. All right, so here we go. Candy cane sprinkles or Candyland sprinkles. Beautiful. But I'm not finished. I want to see what some of these others do. One is true unmasked. I use these quite a bit, especially if I want this top color to use it as a skin for what's underneath it, which really I think would be this here. There we go. And one reveals two. Suddenly, this is very interesting. One reveals two. A lot of times with a mega tree, if I want effects inside of the spirals of a mega tree to only show in the negative space, but not on the effect on the outside of the mega tree, I go to one reveals two or two reveals one, depending on where the layered effects are at. Okay, shadow one on two. This will have a lot more to do with colors, because depending on the colors you choose, that look is going to be different. There's layered, you get a little bit of everything layered together. There are descriptions for all this stuff. If you click this button over here, you get a document that I've read through many, many, many times, and then just do this. Yeah, I'm not gonna read that. The details of it bore me as far as the technical components of how everything works. I prefer to experiment. Bottom top, don't care about that. Left right, splits it left right, don't care about that. The one that I do care about down here that I think is very interesting is the subtractive. It's a very, very cool layer blending. And just if your head isn't spinning enough from all of these, there are other things you can do with Canvas that would be an advanced type course where you can now control we won't have time for this, but you can basically control in the layers, not there, where'd you go? Canvas layers. You can go in here and start turning certain layers on and off. Doug Reel has probably explained this better than anyone that I've listened to about it. The problem with that is if you think you spend enough time learning to deconstruct or create effects when you get into Canvas, that 60 to 80 hour sequence is going to turn into 200 to 300 hours potentially. It's just, you can really get lost in there. Okay, cool.
The heads up, Ryan, you got about 10 minutes left.
10 minutes. Well, why don't we do this? I want to give the audience the chance to ask questions, and anything I can answer or demonstrate, I'm happy to do that. Oh my gosh, I have not been watching. We started at 1:30 my time. Was importing and mapping a sequence class recorded? Yes. I downloaded when Ron gives me. I download when Ron gives me permission. Not sure about that. Came out this AM. Yeah, picked up .29. Ron said, "Beware." Ron did not say be wary of .29. I haven't even seen it. I like beta testing. Try to take breaks. No fun being aware. Okay, don't remember exactly, but okay. Best comment of the day. Ron has nothing to hide. Yeah, that's true. It gets me more in trouble than not. But what you get is what you get. .29 is on. Yes, thank you. 2020 X-Lite song, one of them. Yeah, someone messaged me a while ago saying, yeah, Christmas Every Day is going to be, but there's 2 X-Lite songs, I guess, this year. I saw Whole House Effect. Shh, don't tell anyone. How does a video look on those pixel squares? How does video look on the, oh, you're talking about the cubes? They look great. Yeah, they look pretty good. Especially the 2500 node cubes. Let's see here. Yes, I'm mulling a P5 present box build. Okay, nice. I like the idea. I wish I could do that well for a quick mapping. Damn. Okay. I've added almost all of these submodels to the MOA. Beautiful. So for those of you without this prop like me, you can get some use. Yay. Ron, you should invent an illusion tree, a mega tree, but filled also. Nobody that would be scary but fun. I'm guessing 10,000 pixels plus. Clear pixel. Okay, agreed. There is. Okay, are there any questions? Do pro sequencers over sequence, knowing that not everybody will have everything? Well, I called my company Extreme Sequences, not Sissy Sequences. So yes, I probably over sequence. But again, as I explained, that is to give people more of a menu to choose from than wondering how they add something to a prop that I don't have that they do. But yeah, it's a debatable question. I respect the question. I totally get it because I typically put everything on my house when I play it every year, and I'm happy with the way it looks. It's a personal preference, but trust me, I could put a lot less on my house and have lots of effects and sell them for the same price and spend less time doing it. And maybe I'm an idiot for not doing that. Believe they try the majority of the popular pros in the sequence that at least most people can sometimes I think they answered what I said. What does the layer star render style do? Oh, good question. We have just enough time. I'm going to show you that. That is a great question. Shame on me for not following up. There we go. That's good. Let's look at our tree topper and let's just put on this guy right here. And we'll give this a couple, we'll go this many cycles, and let's just go with red and white. Okay, so there is a single strand effect. It's pretty. Here's our choices. Per preview, single, and then layer star. Boom. Okay, so that's not really fair, right? So let's do this. Let's go over here. Let's put in a star that we can get. Let's see, stars. Let's just find a star. Let's just find a 6-ring, 36-inch star. Is that 270 nodes? That's it. That's the same exact star. We will call this star. We will call this tree topper 2. Okay. Save that. And maybe let's just bring you down here and get you close to it. And that's pretty close, pretty close, pretty close. Okay, we'll go over here to our sequencer. We'll bring in a display elements. We'll bring in this brand new tree topper 2. There you are. We'll put you up here underneath, right next to my tree topper. There we go. Let's save this. Back to the sequencer. And we'll take the same. Well, let's not have it bounce around so much. Let's just do it left to right. Now, we want to try to get this effect on tree topper 2 with a custom model. Copy that, paste that. So here's our choices. Default, per preview, single line, hot mess, as pixel, X or XY, Z, Y. Why are you doing this to me? Z had no chance. Y again. Nope. I'm running out of options. Ugh. Ugh. Ugh is the right answer. You can't. Won't work. Because here I have layer star. And that's not the only one. Put this on layer star. Just a really simple effect like this. Maybe put 2 in here, change the thickness. You know, you can get some very interesting things happening there. Whereas if I take that, copy it, paste it here, here's my choices per preview, single line. Look, it's having a seizure. Pixel, and none of the rest of these are going to do it at all. That is why the native files will always win. We've seen some changes with the arches. Arches now in the native file format, you can tell it how many arches you want, the layered arches, which is fantastic. I've been wanting that for a long time. I'm hoping to see that happen with candy canes. That would be a blessing. And then, you know, your trees, these are native files. So I don't have an issue with that. Anything that's round that you can tell it how many concentric rings there are, you are going to get more bang for the buck. Things that you just can't do that with, or, you know, like the Rosa wreath, you just can't do that. The Rosa wreath is its own animal. And I'll take these 2 effects here and I'll show you if these were, let's just say these were whole house effects, a really great way. Let's say you have an older sequence. You're like, well, you know, I got that dog from you way back. You never updated it. It don't have nothing for Grand Illusions. And I got the, that Rosa wreath thing, but I can't put anything on there. Don't look right. Well, copy some effects. And I've got a video out there called Stealing is Fun. Go find your Rosa wreath, copy those effects like we just did, and go to your even odd feathers and just paste it. Paste that thing, right? Now it's on default. Change it from default because it is a group. Put it on vertical, per model, per strand. And suddenly you're going to have something different. There you go. Your entire neighborhood just started throwing buckets of money at you for your charity right there alone. That's it. You don't even need another prop. Just one Rosa wreath. That's your Christmas show. That's all you need. Then you put in some other things. You go to your ribbons, you know, put those in there. Yay. Look at that. Look at that. You know, it's just all a lot of fun stuff. There are no rules. You just have to have fun with this. Give this a radius 2. Give us this. Go per preview. Oh, I did put that in the wrong group, didn't I? There we go. Rosa wreath group. There we go. There we go. Simple stuff. You can copy and paste effects from things that are in the existing sequence. Just mix, match, and play, man. Try it. You know what? I'm going to take his twig trees and put them on all the Z all, and then I'm going to take the plunger small and put the mini trees on that. There are no rules, man. You will come up with so many cool combinations. It'll be unique to your show, something nobody else has, because you just copied and pasted already existing effects into these new props that haven't been added to the store or a HD add-on or anything like that. It's all been put there for you. That answers the other question. You know, over sequencing can be a very good thing because you're given all the tools you could possibly need to build your house. I'd rather have too many tools than have to go to Home Depot and buy ratchet, because that's the one thing I'm missing. That's just, and that's just my philosophy. It doesn't mean it's right. It's just how I operate. Questions? We've got literally 8 minutes. So spiral graph, lazy editing is your friend. Well, lazy editing, yeah, I would agree with that. One present will be in Ron's store for $5. Perfect. Yes. What the heck is my donkey? Oh, my donkey cries. Well, my donkey cries was this effect, but what you didn't see was, let's try the effect on, was the balls one, which was, it could be good, could be really bad. I don't know. Let's just go over here and find out. Effects preset, balls, 3 layers. Okay, that's good. Apply. Probably the same thing. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool stuff. And as you can see here, I am using a value curve for the twist on here, and a value curve for the twist on here. This is simply a flipped horizontal of the same model. Get over there. And you get over there. And at the top, we're telling us 2 is unmask, because if we take this away, that's what we have, which all by itself looks really cool. And then this is, well, that's just that. Again, you just want to experiment. Maybe change this from 90 to this, and now you got something completely different again. All right, let me check questions before we have to get to the raffling and any other questions. Donkey cries, we saw that. Is there such thing as too many layers? Could it crash? Oh, good question. Is there such thing as too many layers? Well, it depends on your processor. It depends on your computer, and it's dependent on the effects. If you use a bunch of shaders, that's pretty intensive. If you use a lot of warp, that's intensive. Liquid is going to be intensive for your show, depending on your computer. So if you have a good processor and some decent memory, I would highly recommend in your preferences that in the sequences area that you enable render cache. If you have a slower laptops, 8 gigs of memory and an i3, I would not turn that on. I just wouldn't turn it on. Okay. Oh, good. It didn't crash. Perfect. Ron is talking fast enough to get more Ron isn't talking fast enough to get more material, I think you meant, Mr. Christmas. Yes. On a twirling arm, can you have the color move from the inside to the outside of the arms? I don't see why not. When do you think your hours per minute of the sequence of program is? Oof. Yeah, man, it's easy. I mean, the least amount of time I typically spend on sequences might be 40 to 60 hours. Yeah, because I don't do a ton of whole house these days, and that's just a personal choice. What will we do? No longer get pixels from China. We will go to flames and low powered fans. Load up now, just bought 4,000. Why do I have to render every time I open a sequence before it will play? That's a good question. You don't have to always. It depends on what's going on, how much you have. That's why the render thing is great. When you turn on the render cache, when you save the sequence, if you didn't make a change to some of these effects, it will pull the cache from the ones that you did change and pull that in quickly. It just depends on the effects, how many layers you have, how involved the sequence is. One rosa wreath is all you need, trust me. I don't know about that. It serves as a stained glass window in large church. Yes. Umbrella Resident Evil effect. Yes. Always amazing stuff and fun presentations. Will, thank you. Thanks, Ron. Informative, great presentation, Ron. Thank you. And I think that's it. Chris, I'm going to give this back to you, sir.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, Ron. I'm sitting here trying to make some last minute additions to the raffle prizes. Just trying to make sure I got everybody. But thanks, Ron. Appreciate everything. Do you have a sponsor page?
I do. I can get to that. We didn't in the last one, but I can in this one. No problem. Share screen, share, and and there's my button down here, and switch. Hello, come on. Swap presentation. I think that was it. Free sequence of choice. Okay, and yes, there's all of the wonderful vendors.
Close. There we go. All right, so we'd like to thank all of our sponsors. Without them, this whole summit would not have been possible. At last count, we had over $10,000 worth of prizes just to give away, not including all the stuff that you can, all the coupon discounts that they have provided, which is, I believe, was in the email.
Well, are you doing the raffle, Chris?
Yeah, I'm just going over some last minute stuff.
Gotcha. Somebody's
Uh,
asking.
4017. So give me just a second to double check these numbers. I'm up right at the end. 5013, 5016, 5018, 19, 25. Yeah, I got them all. Okay. Send you back to the top. Full screen. Share screen. Be sure if you have any questions, any more questions for Ron, you can get a hold of him at extremesequences.com or on Facebook or anywhere else that's possible. I'm sure he'll be glad to help you out.
Sure.
And once again, thank you, Ron, for your presentation.
Thank you guys for having me.